So putting images lowers your spam rating. You're gonna sell the click a whole lot better.
Hey, podcast listener, you're about to discover insider tips, tricks, and secrets to making more sales and converting more prospects into customers with email marketing. For more information about the Email Marketing Podcast or the Autoresponder Guide, go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Hey, it's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy, and it's time for episode 91 of the McMethod Marketing Podcast, where you'll discover basically a whole bunch of badass tips, tricks, and strategies to grow your business, get more customers with less time, effort, hassle, and anything really that's just kind of annoying. How to automate that entire sales and marketing process so you get a steady stream of customers 24/7 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, episode 91. Now, you know what? This is 91 in 9 episodes. It's going to be episode 100, and I'm going to do something special. I've already figured it out. So you got to stay tuned. It's going to be a bit of fun. It's not going to be the standard guest thing. I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to have some fun with it. So stick around for that. Now, today, I'll be talking to Kevin Halbert. Kevin is the son, obviously, of the late Gary Halbert. I did a podcast with his brother Bond probably a couple months back, and I thought I'd get him on the show. He was also at Titans. A lot of these recent guests I met at the Titans of Direct Response seminar. And anyway, he was there. We chatted and thought doing a podcast would be a great idea. So today, Kevin's got this cool way of doing video inside an email. So let's say you pop open an email in Outlook, and you can play a video from inside the actual email. It doesn't. You don't have to go to YouTube. You don't have to go to another site. You don't have to click a link. You can just watch the video in the email. It's really cool stuff that you can do. So we're going to talk about how to do that and why it's real. Why it really works. Now, to get the show notes of this episode of the McMethod Marketing Podcast, go to themcmethod.com/91. Now, one more thing: the McMaster's Insight of the Week. This one's a really simple one. Add a one-time offer on the page after someone signs up. Or another way, add a one-time offer on the thank you page when someone joins your list. So what do I mean by that? Well, someone goes to your website, they visit your landing page, they come from paid traffic, Google, whatever, and they sign up. And on the next page, you just say, "Hey, thanks for signing up. Great to have you on here. We're going to send you, this and this. We're going to send you, these 3 tips on this and this amazing ebook here that's going to show you how to do this." But what's really, you know what you really need to know. The problem is with XYZ is that. The problem with email marketing is that you really need a map. You really need to know how to do it. So today I want to give you 3 special tips on how to do, I really want to give you a map right now, right here. So you give them the map. You say, hey, if you really want to learn how, fill in the details here and really know how to implement this map in your business, you might want to check out this product that we're selling, McMaster's, or, whatever product, insert your product here. And you'll get that map. You'll get that blueprint, and we'll show you how to implement it in your business. Now, the idea here, it doesn't really matter what you say. It's that someone's already taken an action to join your list. This is a great time for you to capitalize on them. They're in heat, right? They're ready to take another action if you give them the opportunity to. So make that offer to them. Give them a video if you can. You could do audio. You could just do copy. Do something. The idea is make an offer, and you'll be surprised at how many people take you up on it. It could add some substantial revenue to your bottom line, and it's such an easy tweak because you've already got the product. You've already got the email list. Happy days, okay? That's this week's McMaster's Insight of the Week. If you want to get more insights like this, which more and more, sometimes they're about marketing or email. Sometimes they're just about business and life because that's what I like talking about. If you want to get more like this, you should join McMaster's, right? McMaster's is a private training community that I've got. It's basically like a mastermind. It's like being mentored by me or coached by me, at least in regards to marketing and email stuff. There's a private forum. You get coaching with me. There's other people in there that can respond to you and help you out and give you advice on some of the marketing stuff you're doing in your business. There's also a bunch of training products that will teach you, how to set up a sales funnel, how to write an autoresponder, how to do your split testing. There's some amazing webinars I've done on there, which are with a great paid traffic campaign I was running on Facebook earlier this year. All the details are in there. I just share everything in some of those webinars. So that's McMaster's for you. That's why you should join. Okay. If you want to learn more about McMaster's, go to themcmethod.com/McMaster's, and I'll see you inside. Now that's it for now. Let's get into this interview on video inside the email with Mr. Kevin Halbert. It's John McIntyre here, the Autoresponder Guy. I'm here with Kevin Halbert, the son of the late Gary Halbert. He's the brother of Bon Halbert, who did an interview with a couple months back on some of the email list stuff and what Bon was doing with email. And while I was chatting with Bon, he's saying, well, you really got to talk to my brother Kevin, because Kevin's doing this amazing stuff. So, it's a little bit technical, but he's also doing some incredible stuff online. And even with email, and we're just chatting about some of that. So I sent him an email, and here we are doing a podcast on what Kevin's up to. So today we'll talk about, it's a very relaxed conversation today, a bit about video inside the email, what's coming up, what's next for email marketing, because I really think Kevin's one of the guys, he's on the front of this stuff. He's really on the edge, and he's going to have a lot of stuff to share about what's changing and what's coming up. So we'll get into that in a minute. Kevin, how you going, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you on, man. So before we get into, I guess, the content or dive into some of the topics we talked about, can you give the listener a bit of a background on, who you are and what you're up to?
People really know my last name, and that's who this is really about, and it's all important, is who my father is Gary Halbert. For many, it's clear that he was the greatest copywriter who ever lived, but whatever it is, at least we know it's arguable. If you think someone else is, his ability to write outstanding copywriting in so many different markets that's probably what me and Bon understand, is that when it came to him, he was great in so many diverse niches. I mean, you name it, he went into it and he sold it, and having never even touched that marketing category before, he knew how to. I remember talking with Gary Benzavanga on the phone, and he was like, Kevin, your dad really swung for the fences. And he would go out on a limb, back in the day when it cost you $20,000 to run a newspaper ad. He would go with a crazy untested thing and just, with Tove Borgnine stuff and a bunch of other stuff he did, he was always able to knock it out of the park. And and then, obviously he became, this guru has gotten a really bad name these days. Yeah. But, when he went in 1986 and started teaching people, he was the guy. There's plenty of people that point to who he was. Kennedy, he talks about how he gave him his first job, and how, Ben Suarez, he got on his feet. And, there's plenty of people. I mean, there's a parade of people that talk about how his teachings on marketing got everyone started.
Okay, and then so how did that end up? What have you done through that? What has that led to for you?
That led to us. First of all, we were very shy and very well, I should say Bon was not very shy. We were not ready to take over the mantle, so to speak, so quickly, and so I was a very trepidatious person, or cautious, and then later on, I just started coming out of my shell a little bit. I'd say the biggest time that I enjoy with the stuff we do is going to masterminds. That's the thing that I used to be really shy, and then one day I just said, screw it, I'm going to go for it. And I was one of these people that barely speaks up, and then I just started speaking up, and then I just noticed when I walk out of the room, people would come up to me and surround me and ask me a bunch of questions. I said, you know what, actually, these aren't such crazy suggestions. They're all asking for help, asking to hire us as consultants. We have a bunch of clients we consult for, and that's kind of my favorite thing, because but it's nice when you walk in and you have the big idea for people, and then you don't have to go do all the work, and you can do that for 20 people. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
Okay.
It's just always interesting to hear sort of, where, I always ask people this question just because it's fun to find out, where they're at, what they're up to, and sort of just the journey. I mean, sometimes it's the stuff you expect, and then sometimes you come out, you hear about stuff that you never heard of. So anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to say we just keep our dad's legacy alive and keep it moving forward, and let them know that this stuff all translates exactly into the new age. But okay, sorry to interrupt.
You're good. I can definitely empathize with you on the whole, being shy thing. And a lot of people think I'm this, crazy extroverted guy who talks and talks and talks. And I've gotten good at it, I think, maybe through doing the podcast and doing some sales jobs. But I'm in a sense, I'm a little bit similar like that. Like when I'm in a big group of people and everyone's talking, I don't really want to talk. I want to sit back and watch. So it's hard.
Yeah, it was for the longest time. I mean, when I had an idea for somebody, I would go find them after the whole meeting and then give them my ideas instead of presenting them to the entire room. And now it's like, me and my brother spend our time like seeing how much time we can get in on each person.
Yeah.
And them out.
Yeah. Oh, cool, man. Well, let's dive into some of this stuff that we're chatting about. Maybe some of the video stuff. Let's talk about sort of what's coming up and what's next. I mean, how do you think that marketing, in a sense, it never really changes. Like the principles of psychology and how to persuade and how to motivate people, that never changes. But then at the same time, technology is moving so rapidly that a lot's changing at the same time. So how do you think about, how do you deal with, and how do you understand all this change going on?
Well, you're right. None of the psychology. What happens is different ways that we can take advantage of it that we just didn't have before. And so we have this, the same old things you've heard. You can test quickly, you can move quickly, you can roll out quickly. All that stuff is moving forward. And I don't know how to explain taking advantage. I just try to see one of the things I just try to see if we can, like I was saying, we could get closer to the person sooner and get them from the second of engagement to whatever we're trying to do, and take out as many clicks and stuff like that. I mean, we're talking about how we're taking. If we're talking about the video, we're talking about the video and emails and stuff like that. Is that what you're referring to?
We can go in a whole bunch of different directions. But one thing I think is worth pointing out there is that, like 20 years ago, when the internet wasn't really around, you really needed a top copywriter to be able to make direct response work, because like you said, you can go and spend $20,000 on a newspaper ad. Whereas now,
perfect.
Anyone, you don't even need. I think you need to be, obviously decent copy is going to help you, but because you can buy traffic on Facebook or AdWords for pretty cheap. You can split test it, and the software for testing costs you $50 a month, and so you can test your way to having a really high converting anything for very little money. Mm-hmm. So it's completely changed the ball game.
A little bit. It's a couple of things. You've got a good point, and that triggers something in my mind. Okay. Back in the day when the internet came out, I remember talking to my dad, and there was two things that were going on. One is, this was back when AOL was about as big as the internet, and there was a time when AOL was contemplating chargeable a penny to get an email delivered for promotional email, and everybody was up in arms. They were freaking out because the internet was free, and how dare you do all this? Dad was like, bring it on. He wanted it more than anybody wanted it. And the reason is because everybody and their cousin, was spamming everybody, and there were no spam laws at the time, and they were just putting everybody in a bad mood and turning them off. And he had a client that was making a fortune on a 0.00001% response because he had a 25 million email list name. And he could with that many leads he could get to for free to sell refis or mortgages and stuff, he could still make a fortune. And that the thing was that there was this whole free for all. The thing was, when those anti-spam laws came in, part of what you're saying came into effect, and what happened is a lot of people got washed out with the new policies that came in. And what happened is that the people that had to be better at their copywriting to make it work, and with fewer names, because it was 100,000 name limit or something. You had to do it with a ton less, and you started to get better. And what happened it was kind of this Darwinian thing. The people that survived had to get it right, and the only people were going to get it right were using basic principles, basic direct response copywriting marketing principles. And when those guys survived, they'd come back and say, "How are you doing it?" And they'd be these basic principles, and it would go back to Halbert, it'd go back to Claude Hopkins, go back to all these other great guys. And so it was Gary Halbert had, and like all the other marketers, had to be rediscovered, because anyone else who didn't was just not going to be in the race. So that was kind of an interesting moment. We went from really had to have really great copying, having to have terrible copy, and then having to bring that great copywriting back. And now we have to be better in senses, because the attention span has just plummeted. And I mean, and this is the thing, is that I'll talk a little bit, and you could cut me off because I can go down a long road with a lot of stuff. But the thing is that when we released the Gary Halbert All-Star audio series, we had a very strategic plan, and it paid off in some senses, that we were going to release it on iTunes. Yeah. And the reason we were going to release it on iTunes was a couple of things. Is everybody and their cousin will download or buy these products or these copyrighted courses and all this other stuff, and it gets just dumped into a folder that's safe for viewing later. It's they've got it. It's they can get to it whenever they want and stuff like that. But it gets piled in with all their emails, all their Skype calls, everything else. And what we wanted was people's drive time. We wanted to be alone with them in their car, and we wanted to be with them on their flight, and we wanted to be when they were exercised off. And that was a very strategic plan to get us away from all this noise, and to get this stuff consumed. We're not the type of people that wanted to make a sale. We wanted people. Carlton talks about how he sent out. Their clients sent out blank DVDs, thousands and thousands of them for 6 months. They didn't know they sent out blanks because nobody was consuming them. They got their sale. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't. So we wanted to, getting people's attention, somewhere else, or direct mail where that flyer sits on their desks and does't need batteries.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it really is. It's getting alone with the girl. Now the guys that are all hitting on her and pissing her off.
But there's this, one thing. I guess what I was mentioning, describing, a couple minutes ago, was this idea that you're absolutely right. You do need to have this. You do need to be able to get someone's attention, but provided you can get their attention, though, it's kind of like I love this idea of technology where you can. I mean, Perry Marshall's huge on this in his 80/20 sales and marketing book, which they handed out at tons, and
I read it.
Yeah, it's just this whole testing idea, which is nothing new at all. But when you can take something that's kind of, that's working decently, test something, bump the response by 10 or 20%, and then next month you bump it again by 10 or 20%. You keep tweaking those different steps. It's so cheap and so easily, it's so easy to do these days.
Yeah, absolutely. You improve it at every step for sure. I agree. I don't know how to say it any differently, but yeah. You just. One thing improves the other one. More people that get into the funnel, the more people that convert at that step. Yeah, he makes a good point. It's just a multiplication or orders of magnitude.
Well, tell me about this video. We're chatting about this before we hit record. Tell me more about this video inside the email, and sort of what's working with it, and if it's worth checking out.
The video we had started out. We talked before, so I'm going to repeat it. What we were talking about, it was that it started off when I wanted video and email, and I was told I couldn't have it, basically by the gods of browsers, design, and email inboxes and stuff. And I finally saw this dancing leprechaun, and I was like, why is this moving? I see a moving object. I want video in my emails. What's going on? And I didn't want that picture that has the play button that is just a link that takes them to an external page and then starts playing the video. And I realized it just took me a second. And it was obvious to me that it was an animated GIF, which is basically like a flip book, just a series of images shown on top of each other in a time sequence, whatever time sequence you set. And that was to me was priceless, because things that people don't know or they don't think about is even video's got its attention getting, but moving stuff, that's why the banner ads are always good stuff, and that's that motion is a very important element. I mean, if you got all this stuff and you can see something moving, that makes a huge. And when you send text, you get a certain open rate or click-through rate. Then you send a picture, you get a certain open click-through rate. And when you send an animated GIF, you definitely get a better click-through rate. And the thing is, you have a chance right there, a special chance right there, to grab their attention and really drive their curiosity. People are spending their time on Facebook trying. It seems like you're selling car insurance using a sexy girl in the PPC ad, right? And the first thing I saw when I said, can I use an animated GIF on a PPC ad? I'm sure they don't allow it, but Gmail does. And the thing is that here, whatever thing you have going on with Facebook, where you can only have a still image, you have so much text and all that other stuff, you have an incredible chance to drive curiosity to a click if you've got moving images. And then obviously I wanted to move to the next step, which was to actual sound in the email that would actually play. And so I did a bunch of research, and it turns out that HTML5, because of new security and everything else, will play video right inside your email. Now, it won't do it for Gmail users, whether or not you're on, but if you're on just about anything else, it will play. And that's a big deal. And so the Gmail, but the nice thing is that you have alternative images just like you have alternate text. And so in any case, Gmail loves animated GIFs. And so if you can't get the video play, you still have a shot at getting the thing. And people will go, won't play it. The video won't play in some things. And it's like, you do your best shot for this and you do your best shot for that, kind of like responsive design, web design. You do whatever it is. And so, for me, the idea that this video would play. And then one of the things was we were doing a webinar. We were promoting an email, one of the email, marketing services and stuff. And I was doing a test, and I sent out this little test. We had a small amount of people on this thing. We had a great response to it. But when we sent out an email, we were going to talk about how we were starting to use video and starting to use animated GIFs, and we were going to teach people how to do this stuff. But when we sent the email out, we decided just to show them by sending them an email announcing the webinar by using the video and the animated GIFs. And we had a 500% open rate. Because everybody's, I think, going, son of a bitch, it's working, and they're sending it over to the other device to see if it works over there and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was
How did the response
cool.
change? So you get the 500% open rate. What was the response to the email like in terms of clicks or sales or getting people to the webinar?
Well, that's a good question, because we had a certain amount. Bond had done it where he had come and he was giving the curiosity, the subject line, and all that stuff. So by the time they got to me, they were on like webinar number 5. That's a good question. I'm a bad house. I don't know the numbers to your answer. I do know that we had signed. We had an affiliate deal with we were working with GetResponse, and we had an affiliate deal with them, and we signed up a ton of people for a small amount of attendees. I got to say that. So I can say it was very successful. It was very, very successful. But we also used it to launch. I don't know if you saw our BSLs for the audio series, but we'd also used that to send out to get everybody over to. And that was a terrible part. Talk about driving you nuts. We had learning experiences. We screwed up left and right. Yeah. And one of the things we did was we accidentally sent out this bonus confirmation email with a username and password that were blank because they hadn't signed up. We'd accidentally sent out this one. Everybody's like, I can't get in. It's like, and we'd spend a lot of time telling them, ignore that email, ignore that, Yeah. But that was just like, after 2 weeks of no sleep, I was losing my brain. But one of the things that we had to figure out how it worked with iTunes. And we were trying to figure out who we could distribute with, because some of the people would stream it and stuff. But when we went with iTunes and we used TuneCore, which I like, not affiliate, I recommend you guys use it if you use it. And that was another thing. We were on uncrowded space with iTunes, putting the stuff up in there. But the thing was, they don't give you any stats for a month. Do you know what it's like to be a direct response marketer and send everybody in to go buy something, and you've got to sit for 4 weeks trying to figure out what was going on? And then the huge mistake we also made was that when we didn't know, even though I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 3, I didn't know that it wasn't available on Android. It wasn't, no one was allowed to have iTunes on their Android phone. And so we had to scramble for a week, putting it so everyone could download it over at, on our own site with a direct download. So yeah, that was
interesting. So the basic idea here is a video in email can dramatically boost the response. And so if someone wanted to get started with that, they really just got to look up HTML5 and video and email, right?
Well, there are a couple of things. I don't want to. We have a thing where you sign up for autoresponder. We have a thing that will send you a bunch of stuff on how to do it. Yeah. It's kind of a thank you, and there's a link to go in there and get stuff. But if you want to skip that, there's a couple key points you want to know. The guys that helped us do it was a company called. Can I say another company?
Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another company called Email on Acid, and they have a template. I did a modified template. I wanted something more, so that's what you get if you sign up with the Gary Halbert letter. You can. Our responder will send you a thing showing you where you can go get these templates and stuff. those guys cracked the code on how to get it to show, a still image if it worst comes to worst, you're on Opera or something, to get an animated GIF to be the next best thing, and to get video playing. Okay, and so those guys did a great job on doing that. I did a couple things different. I'll tell you guys some things you want to know. When we sent out the email, one of the things, I was losing my mind because I had just released in the audio series all telling people how to do this stuff. And I thought that, I was that people started abusing it or something in the background, and it stopped working on my iPad. And I was freaking out because I'm like, what's going on? This was working. I tested everything. We're sending out this big thing, and I'm giving this tutorial on my thing. And it turns out that if that little notification switch is switched off, even though you can play your Netflix movies and everything else, it will not play the HTML5 sound. So one of the things I did was I photographed an iPhone and an iPad, and I put a little instruction below the video showing them to turn that off or on, turn that on if they don't hear any sound.
Yeah.
So because they're going to miss the message. The other thing that's very important to know is that you should never set this thing to autoplay. If you set this to autoplay, you're going to skyrocket your unsubscribes. So if you set it to autoplay, the thing is, it's like it will keep playing if you even change what your email you're looking at and stuff. And especially if you got it set on a loop, then you've got a person that is trying their best to like find this thing and get to it and turn it off.
Yeah.
But if you set it to, I think you can do autoplay with mute, and you won't have a problem. And then you can just have it set not to autoplay, and it'll just play with the regular sound, and that's fine.
Right.
That'll do you great.
Right.
Okay. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I was just looking for, if you go to Google, actually, type in video inside email, or just video and email, that's where you can find that there's a template from Email and Acid, those guys you mentioned. So this is exactly what you did. And they got like a whole list of, which clients play the video, which don't. So check that out.
Yeah, and so you got, 60% like success in it being played, and then you have like a 30 or something percent success that the animated GIF will do it instead. God, I don't want to pitch a lot of things. I'm going to try to look at my software here so you guys can go get some of the pieces of software for free. There's some great pieces of software that, after me doing a lot of testing, figured out which ones do this cool stuff, and they're free. There's one called Free Video to GIF Converter.
Okay, okay. So converting video.
And it did something weird to my computer, so that kind of irritated me. So I reset something and it came back. So I don't think it was a virus or anything. I think it was some kind of weird thing. But the nice thing about this software is what happens is if you take a clip of video and you put it in, you just go browse for it and you select it and it pulls it up, and then you can come in and it will splice it out to all the frames, single frames, and then you get to choose the frame rate, you get to choose the image size and stuff like. Oh, and another important part about that is do not have you host these images. Have something like Amazon S3 with something like that. Yeah, something fast. You can pull it off if you put it in a WordPress thing and serve it out. But yeah, so this stuff will go in. Now, if you really want to go crazy, there's another piece of software that really crunches it down and makes it efficient, but you have to buy it. Let me see if I can find it real quick while we're here. Alchemy MindWorks GIF Construction Set Professional 4. And that's another piece of software that will get you up to speed on to doing it if you really want to go crazy and make the palettes really efficient and make the colors work. You can really dial it in, like kind of like dialing in your JPEG files to the right compression. Yeah, that right middle ground.
I was just thinking, one thing you could do is like when people do the YouTube videos. It's not really YouTube, but a video with like a play button, and that's sort of what they're doing right now. It's just an image, and you click the image, and then it goes to a page where you watch the video. I reckon you could, middle would be like if you had a video or a GIF, which is like it could be like 3 seconds, so it's a small GIF, but just as it's moving, because that's going to get their attention, then you have that play button on top, so they know that if they click that button, if they click the moving image, they're going to be able to watch the video that the image is about. That's like a happy medium in between.
Absolutely. And what Bond loves is the one stunt I pulled with it, which was click here to turn on the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what they're really doing is getting taken somewhere else when you only got the GIF going.
Well, you see this on, Facebook's been doing this. Like when you scroll down through the newsfeed, sometimes there's videos that are already playing. Like there's no sound, but they're just, and only when you click on them. It's a really, like every time I've seen it, I have to watch the video because it's already moving and I want to see what the hell's going on. So
And so what you're able to do is and it's a clever trick if you really wanted to go crazy with it, which I haven't pulled the stunt yet, but it's not a crime. But you could put in those levels. I don't know if you've seen the dancing level meters.
No.
But when you scroll up when you scroll through, if you're on a smartphone and you scroll through and you see videos on your wall or someone else's wall or your feed or whatever, the video starts playing, but there's a little dancing sound levels, like 3 little bars that go up and down indicating that there's sound to be heard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you could do the same
thing. And so you could do the exact same thing in your emails, and people would already have that habit of, hey, I can turn this sound on. I recognize this is familiar.
Yeah.
And so, you could definitely see it, but there's no doubt that with it, this is one of the things is that, video has taken a while. If you think about how long it's taken a while to catch on, considering how long we were capable of doing it so far back. When the bandwidth was up and stuff. People get that mindset that it's back in the day it was no one did video commercials because it cost you a fortune to make a commercial, and everyone kind of just left themselves stuck in text and a freeze frame image and stuff. And you can do all of that now. And the thing is, there's a reason that they use that and it costs more is because video is more powerful. So the idea that if you have something interesting to say and you're not seducing people into paying more attention or think it's just a mediocre idea, I think it'd be, I just think it would be crazy. So, we send, when you want to get something done fast, send an email and that's something on your list, fine. But if you got something important, I don't see how. I think moving images can only move you in one direction. Not to mention, if you include images in emails, your spam grading goes down. Do you know that? Because the spammers don't tend to put images in emails. That's one of the things. I don't know. Probably because the hosting would get messed up.
Man,
someone could intercept it.
Well, they're mailing like 100 million people or something, and you get 100 million people. Even if the 1% open rate, you can have a big hosting. 1 million people download an image all on the same day. I mean, that's a big hit to the hosting bill.
Exactly, and then you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So putting images lowers your spam rating. You're gonna sell the click a whole lot better. You can get and you can communicate a message. I wish I could send it to your list or something. Our VSL, because it was perfect. The VSLs run perfect with this because the thing is that the text on screen is what we're doing anyways when you're seducing these people. I'm telling you, I try to tell everybody this. Some guy had a PowerPoint with a next button with a paragraph on the screen is just awful. It just puts me to sleep. But it has 5 words on the screen the second you say them. Like it's just like closed captioning, but instead of it being like low, it's the front and center right on the screen. It's not in the lower third. That stuff sucks you in. And so the thing is that you're going to do that in a VSL anyways. And that's the nice part. If you created a VSL, you've got one of these words on screen, only as many words as you can say in one breath. Nice thing is sound doesn't work. It's ready to go into your email. You just, re-render it down to a small size. And, that sucker's selling for you just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain how seductive those words on screen are.
Yeah.
I don't know if you talked to anybody. And they've proven that they're more attractive. And this is a rumor, so I'm not confirming it, but that they're more seductive than even doodle videos. And I think it also depends on what you're illustrating. It depends on what you're illustrating. But, they've proven that in general they're more seductive than the doodles.
Interesting. Well, just the 5 words on a screen and then your little next button.
Yeah, like if you were reading one sentence and it had 10 words in it, the second your mouth opened. Can we just tell people where they can watch one?
Sure,
I'll tell you where.
Go for it. I mean, we're right on time.
Okay. The GaryHalbertLetter.com with the word TheGaryHalbert letter.com. They go there. they're going to end up on a simple single page. And at the bottom, there's going to see view newsletter list. When you go in that newsletter list, it's going to take you to all those Gary Halbert letters. And that's one thing I'd like to talk about real quick if you wanted to talk about some of the stuff. But the thing is, when you get there, there's going to be a video there. And we're cleaning up that page, by the way. We're going to revamp everything. But you'll see a video there selling the Gary Halbert Letter All-Star Audios. It has Gary Benzavenga and Michael Gerber and Dan Kennedy and Paris Lampropoulos and Clayton Makepeace. Or not, he's coming up. But 14 of the biggest copywriters in the world. And you'll see how you can tell that the thing is, when everyone's going there to check it out, I want you to imagine that your sound doesn't, because you'll find out that the VSL still works.
Yeah.
And you'll see how I build bullets on the screen and they stack up. But other times I'm talking. Maybe you have it muted and you're watching it now. But the way that works, it's you'll see how seductive it is.
Yeah.
I even have a better one, but
I can see it. There's a video on that page. It's got a moving GIF, and then you've got to click here to watch this video with sound.
No, that's a different one, but that is just something I threw on the page that we had already used in a promotion for selling, one of my dad's expensive seminars. We were like, send out an email, and that what you're seeing there was what we sent in the email. Yeah. And what but later on I was like, all right, we're done with that promotion. Let's throw it up on the page, and it sits there, and you can see you're probably, depending. It all depends on what if you put something curiosity laden in it, but images are a very powerful way to seduce people. Obviously, if Facebook's using it left and right with no sound to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So, and we could go and check that out. The other thing you talk about and autoresponders and engagement and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's your audience, correct? Okay. This is the one thing I find crazy is that people talk about these article generation. I don't know if your list likes that stuff, but I'm not a fan of it. All this stuff that creates these articles that point into all this stuff to get SEO and all, and or people want to cite and they want to get traffic and all this stuff. But they don't want to do any of the work.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is that there's a couple things. Gary Halbert, a lot of the stuff he taught wasn't always new. It wasn't always first coming from him. It came from a master of someone else that came before him. Okay. Yeah. But the difference is that one of the things that Gary Halbert did that was very, very different. When people write to us, this is like a broken record. People write to us and they go, I didn't have a chance to meet your father before he died, but from reading his newsletters, I felt like I knew. Okay. This is a very common thing for people to say. People are rabid fans. I just went to a mastermind. These guys are like big marketers, and they're talking about how they sleep with my dad's The Boron Letters book next to their nightstand, and they just eat it up and they're reading it every night. Yeah. And what you're going to notice about this stuff is that his stuff is popular for two things. It's that he drives home a message that is unforgettable. If you look at like one of the ones like The One Advantage, people will get that and they'll go, okay. And they'll go, okay, this is awesome. And I get this lesson. And the point is he drives it home. He did it once in a famous exercise he does all the time that we have that's called the Dear Mom Letter. But no one should go and read that Dear Mom Letter. They should watch it in a video presentation or they'll screw it up. But this is my point. Storytelling is everything. They're proving it, that brain studies and everything, that storytelling is engaging. And storytelling is also what triggers things being memorable.
Yep.
And then there's the other thing of engaging with similes and metaphors that helps people understand more deeply. And so there's a lot of people that can teach copywriting. They've got courses out. They've got all this other stuff. But none of them is really talking with the person. They're not in the room with the reader. And you will find that, Carlton writes more like my dad, but a lot of these people don't. And the thing is, it bonds you with the reader. And so John Carlton, we were at at an event together, and he was talking on stage, and he was talking about, hey, you need to let your freak fly. And that was, the whole thing is that you have to be out there. You have to be somebody. You can't be a robot. Who is this guy? What's his quirkiness? I mean, people would rather see a train wreck than just a boring thing. So content, storytelling, being engaging, all that stuff. And the thing is, one of the things I can say about it is that when you do it right, I mean, Gary Halbert passed away in 2007. Some of his stuff, dates back to the mid 1980s. And the thing is, if you write one great article, it's there to impress people for the rest of your life. And if you write 2, you just doubled it. Okay. Yep. Having that relevance and just that's important. It's really important. And it'll get you a whole lot more out of your relationship with your customers.
Absolutely. Well, cool, man. Well, right on time, but thanks for sharing all this, man. Before we go, I mean, you mentioned the GaryHalbertLetter.com, which that was how I got started.
Good.
2.5 years ago, man. I was in the Philippines at the time. I live in Thailand now, but I was trying to sell an ebook, and I heard that you could learn how to write copy by writing this stuff down. Writing old school sales letters down by hand. And someone showed me the newsletter. Gary's newsletter, Hands-On Experience. And so I read that, and he's like, well, write down these sales letters and read these books. So I went and did that. And that was how I learned. So I haven't gone through all of the newsletters, but I've been through a lot of them. So highly recommended if you want to get better at marketing. Oh, is there anything else? I mean, if someone's, after this, they want to learn more about you or more about the video stuff, where's the best, where do you recommend them to go?
The videos, to learn more about us, if you want to just start reading the Gary Halbert letter. That's the first thing. It's free. You're right. And you're one of the few people that actually does the exercise. Everyone who's successful at my dad's teaching actually doesn't take the shortcut. They do what you did. Excuse me. And they go and rewrite the letters out by hand. And I'll tell you, when we came out with the audio series, I had to write out the script for that VSL that we were talking about. And I was having to write in the little intros for every copywriters that they started to say at the beginning. And I started to write out Gary Benzafangas. And it was, son of a bitch, this shit is genius. Sorry, Gary. But his stuff was brilliant. But the thing is that some of it washed over me when I just, been listening and working with all this content for days and days. But when I started writing it out, there's something about having to go that slow that makes it stay with you. It stays with you longer. And you think about what sentence you were writing before and what sentence you were going to next. Don't do this where you're just, how you can write something out and you're not even thinking about what you're copying, but you have to make sure you're in the copy when you're, But yeah, so yeah, go to the GaryHalbertLetter.com. I mean, sorry if we've been saying that too much, but that's a great way to go. And we really, people complained. They were like, I don't know if you've heard the audio series, but everyone has been saying no one has given us even a mediocre, some are good, some are bad, some of the tracks. It's 14 tracks, like songs on iTunes. And we've had people say nothing but like phenomenal, amazing. And the only thing we've ever heard people say is, why did you sell it so cheap? And so you're paying basically $2 a track to listen to the best marketers on the planet give you their advice. And so it's a fantastic place to go if you want to buy Gary Halbert products or Kevin and Bond Halbert products and stuff like that. You can go to halbertizing.com, spelled with an S, and you can pick up stuff there. But when you start reading the Gary Halbert letters, you'll go, I'm in the right place, and you won't worry about, what I'm saying. You did it right.
Yeah.
So
cool. Okay. Well, I'll have links to all that stuff, all the other links you mentioned as well in the show notes at method.com. Kevin, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. If you want to discover more insider tips, tricks, and secrets about driving sales with email marketing, sign up for daily email tips from the autoresponder guy. Go to dropdeadcopy.com/podcast. Sign up, confirm your email address, and I'll send you daily emails on how to improve your email marketing and make more sales via email. You'll find out why open rates don't matter and the 7-letter word that underlies all effective marketing and much more.